not to be super self-aware. That.
I mean, and then Cinderella, come on.
I'll give you a chance to ask questions. So. let me continue for a minute, though.
Well, it's whatever your response is to it, that's fine, and it doesn't bother me. I'm glad that you said that. But what I'm hoping is that you came and you learned that doesn't work for you. That like if there's in about 10 minutes, but then you sat through at least the first act. I'm so sorry. I hope you will trust Bill Rausch to entertain you better in the future. Okay, Bill Rausch, plug your ears. The thing that I can speak to, because I'm sure people have various frustrations with it. The frustration that I will speak to is I have trouble with when there are three things going on at exactly the same time, so there's not a lull in action in the other two, and the one comes to the forefront. When the three things are happening at the same time and I can't hear anything, it's hard for me to find value in those moments, unless something visual is going on. And what we maybe didn't have time for was establishing visual and nonverbal realities on stage that told the story in those moments when language can't, because there's too much of it. That's a personal opinion. I have a great time doing this show. Mm-hmm. The cast is phenomenal. But I have to say, in talking about it, it's difficult. And I gave a talk back 2 weeks ago, and this thought occurred to me in the middle of the talk back. Somebody was confronting me with, like, what's your opinion of the play? Mm-hmm. And nobody had really asked me that before. And I realized, and it's not to deflect the question, I don't know, because I can't see it. Somebody came to me backstage and was like, so that moment when Cinderella's doing her rolling on the ground, can you not put your arms up? And I was like, what? Cinderella's rolling on the ground? And they were like, yeah, it's when you guys are all up in the stools doing this thing and you're singing looking out. She's on the ground rolling in agony. And I was like, I don't even know that that's happening. I have never, in all the months we've been doing this, known that happened until somebody told me. And if that's just one thing, I'm sure there are a million things that I literally don't know what they are. And I have no concept of what it looks like. Orally, I can tell that at times it's a big jumble, and I know that visually, color-wise, I'm aware of what our costumes look like and the worlds of that, but it's hard for me to talk about the play because I can't see it. I have no sense.
One person described it as colorfully kinetic mishmash against a black velvet background. Which, in my memory of it, the black background is probably the most striking thing about it.
Right.
But you worked.
Wait, Bill is never going to see this interview, is he?
But the question that came up for me is, you're working with a lot, and I think this is a very unusual circumstance. You're working with, and I agree, a very phenomenal cast, but some of these people have done this 4 times.
You mean the play that they're
yes,
this
crazy, and I didn't mean to by that I didn't like it. I actually did enjoy a lot of it, but it was very interesting to me that I think Kate Mulligan had done it 4 times.
I see what you're saying. The other productions,
yes,
they've done it.
And so there's this combination. How much of an asset was that, and did it make a difference in terms of your own performance?
It was a great asset, I know, for the ladies of Medea, especially the women who were in the Medea chorus. If somebody who didn't know the style and songs had been in the part that Kate was in, it would have been a whole other kettle of fish, because she just, coming into it, she was very familiar. Chris Moore, certainly, if we had a Lady Macbeth that wasn't as sensitive or as comfortable playing a woman, a man playing a woman, that would have been completely different. It would really have changed the tone. And also, these are people who really love Bill. We all do, but they've been with this project and they've seen it grow in a way that we haven't, sitting in the audience out here. And it's a passion project. That's the other thing I can say in defense of it. We all have them. I mean, knitted sweaters where I'm like, it's going to be so great, it's going to be awesome, and I show it to my sister, and she's like, that is the ugliest thing I've ever. And I'm like, no, it looks like it's from the 70s. See, look all the detail that I put into the fair aisle right here. And she's like, oh my God, don't ever wear it. And that's, you know what? We all have those things in our lives that and you can't, as an artist, you can't let something go necessarily because somebody tells you it's crap. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. And that's what's beautiful about it. And what's great is that I walk down the street and I hear people going, oh, MMC, 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 MMC. Hey, if a play stirs people up that much, for better or for worse, then something is happening in the theater that is beneficial. Something good is coming out of it. So.
Well, there's also the point that whether it's Bill or you and your performance, that an artist has a right to do something because it's what he needs to do as an artist.
Totally.
And the audience, while relevant, is not important in that way.
And we'll leave it at that.
I'm just saying.
You're always important, especially in Cinderella, in the humorous moments when we can hear the laughter. We're like, oh, thank goodness. They're willing to accept the irony and the humor tonight because
Well,
not always the case.
you were in a unit, so to speak, of three people, you
Yeah.
and two other people who had never done it before. So was there sort of this bond between you and Robin and Kate there?
There was, and fortunately we were all women that grew up with the Leslie Ann Warren, I think.
Yeah,
And I watched the Julie Andrews
I
one
did too.
somehow.
Yeah.
It wasn't being televised when I was a kid,
Mhm.
but somehow I saw it when a tape of something somebody had of it, and I loved it. And we were all familiar with that. We were familiar with Tracy, who co-directed it, her way of working, which for some things, like for The Imaginary Invalid, it's a viewpoints-based thing where you dive into the stereotype of something to explore it even further. Instead of shying away from a stereotype, we go, let's hit the nail on the head as much as possible and see what else it reveals. So we were all in the same camp about how big these women should be, how cruel, how over the top, the voices, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we were very united.
Well, at times it almost seemed like you and Kate were trying to be each competing to be too funnier than the other, which I thought was maybe one of the better parts.
We probably are.
I want you to talk to us about the experience you had when you first came to OSF. You're a young actor. You've grown up as a performance family, and you're in that room with those people. What was that like?
Oh, it was very nerve-wracking, but it was also thrilling. And I'll never forget, my first play here was Idiot's Delight, and I think I had maybe 2 lines. One of them was in Italian, and it was just like, we were sitting around the table, and Gregory Linnington, this young, he was 28 at the time. He's gonna enter his 40s soon. He came around the table, and I had just turned 18, and he came around the table to me, and he said, "Hi, I'm Gregory Linnington. I want to welcome you to the company," or something like that. And I went like, "Oh!" So my first impressions of my first day are very wrapped up in like this attention from this handsome young man. But it was also, I was in the room with Jamie Newcomb and Demetra Pittman and Robin Nordley and Michael Ehrlich and all these people that I had an odd comfort level with just because I knew them growing up. And I felt a little bit like I was coming home. I didn't feel out of place. I remember coming to the company call, which happens on the first day. We all go into the Bomer, the whole company, everybody who works at the festival is called. And we get up and we say our names. And I got up and said, "I'm Nell Geisslinger." And there was this outpouring of like warmth and excitement that I was there because my father has worked there for so long. And I just felt embraced and nurtured, and anything I needed, I was like, "Can I come sit in on rehearsals?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, come on, come sit over here." And it was thrilling, and it felt like coming home.
And while that's going on, the artist is being informed and trained and growing.
That's what I felt. Because I didn't go to school, so I went to school briefly for like the blink of an eye. I went to Bennington College in Vermont, and when I found out I wasn't going to be going back to college, where I decided I was probably not going to go back in the near future. I was like, this is my opportunity. Like, why would I give this up and go back to a classroom when if I can continue to work here and be in the room with these people who are actually doing it, this is my training ground. So that's how I looked at it. And I was there, I was at the theater all the time. And when I wasn't on stage, I was in the BOM watching. I mean, it was like the best training. I don't know, it wasn't the best training, I can't say that for sure, but for me it felt good.
I'm going to mention some names from that time, and I'm going to ask you, if you can, to just give us an idea of how they influenced you, or what you learned from them. Ken Albert.
Oh, Ken is my #1 mentor. Ken trusted me. Well, I should just talk about Ken, not me. I'll say he trusted me and gave me a lot of opportunities. His sense of humor, his irreverence, his deep, deep love of language, and yet the way he speaks language is never highfalutin or mannered. He gets on stage, you can hear and see him clearly, and yet you feel like you're in the same room with him and there's no acting. And he's one of the funniest people I know. He's a beautiful, flawed, amazing man. And he really took me under his wing, he and his wife, Kate. And when I was doing The Visit, he expanded my part. He added lines for me. Every day I would come in and there would be something else for me to do. He was responsive to what I did on stage. He gave me feedback, which in a rehearsal room full of, Linda Alper and Barry